Hello and welcome to another episode of Turjo Talks. I'm your host, Turjo. Today's guest is a 4-time founder. You like pain, don't you?
Pain is good.
Yeah, okay, I was going to say. Sales expert and AI-driven coaching innovator who has built and scaled multiple successful companies. He is the CEO and Chief Learning Officer at Symtrain, a platform revolutionizing training by automating role play and coaching exercises to accelerate skill development. Do you do that for husbands?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. Perfect. I might need that.
It's employees and spouses.
Yeah, right? Perfect. He founded Symtrain after leading FRONTLINE Selling, a company that became one of the Fortune 5,000 fastest growing businesses in the country. He also created a real estate investment fund, but has since dedicated focus to AI coaching, mentoring, and business innovation. Beyond entrepreneurship, he is passionate about education. He guest lectures at Ohio University, where students build sales scripts and practice using Symtrain. At Emory University, he teaches startup sales strategies and also speaks at high school entrepreneurial programs. Where do you have the time for all this?
I have to see my friends sometimes, so I need a reason to go. Right.
Guiding students through ideas and discovery phases of business. Outside of work, he's a lifelong sports fan, a former athlete who still plays baseball. Pretty cool. I wouldn't dare. I would get injured immediately.
I do.
Yeah. he coached youth teams for 3 seasons, even without having a kid on the team. That's amazing. Just for the love of the game. He's also an avid beach goer. And this was the cool one. 15 surfboards?
Yeah.
You might have a little addiction problem.
And I live in Atlanta too, right?
I know, I was going to sound like, what do you go to Lakeland a year?
On the back of the boat.
While he doesn't collect watches, why do we have this guy on the show? He supports his son's growing collection. I need to get your son here.
He asked me, he said, find out if he's got a few of these.
We need to talk about that. And while he admits he doesn't share my fashion sense, he's perfectly fine with that. You look amazing, dude. Thank you, Dan, for coming on the show.
You're welcome. Some of those data points were more for the conversational tickers,
right?
No,
this is
intro.
And the team, the way we did here is that they kind of go in background and something that's really cool and interesting. That's how we really get our guests on. But that's amazing, the amount of activities you're doing and passion projects. So who's Dan? How did you get started? Tell me a little background about you.
Yeah, some of the passion projects we're empty nesters now, right? Mm-hmm. So my wife and I, 3 kids, all grown up. That's fun. And I will tell you, raising adult children is just as hard as raising
how old are
younger. So 28, 25, and 23.
For the audience that's listening to this episode on podcast or audio, you need to see the video. When did you have your first one? At
23.
3?
I was 23.
I was gonna say
yeah.
8.
So I was young. I look really young now. Yeah. Right, but I was even younger then.
Wow. No, I would never imagine that. Really.
So I tell you, my middle son, his girlfriend, we went to their parents' house the other day, and the dad opens the door and he had a baseball hat on, and I thought he was his son.
Right.
I'm like, what the hell, man? Well, why do you look so young? That's not fair. I'm not happy with that. Right?
That's awesome. So continue your background and.
Yeah, so career startup person. I was kind of always wanted to, ever since I started getting in trouble in 5th grade for selling Jolly Ranchers, or I would buy gold bands like this one for $1 at the flea market and try to sell them to my buddies for 3 or 4, right? So it started back then, and I always knew I wanted to own my own business, right? What was kind of neat is I would see these guys who had like cool things, like houses and cars and stuff that were friends of my parents, or I just would run into them and say, hey, what do you do, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, I own a paint shop. What do you mean a paint shop? And I go see their offices like in the middle of nowhere, like behind some alleyway. Right. And these guys are multimillionaires, right? I'm like, how do you do that? How did you do that? Right. So I'm like, I got intrigued. Like, I want to know about that and how you can build off of those things. Yeah. How do those guys make those things work, and how does money work and stuff? So I was always kind of a passion.
And this is back in Jersey.
This is back in Jersey, right? Maybe even like 10 years old. We couldn't
tell with the accent, by the way.
Right. I think my dad was driving me home from the beach when I was 8 years old. I'm like, hey, Dad, can I buy silver? He's like, what? I go, yeah, I have like $50. I was counting can I buy silver? Is that a good? He's like, no, not a good investment. You can make silver. Right. I'm like, what? Yeah. He's like, maybe buy some gold. So that was kind of like, we talked about it for 2 hours on the way home, right? So always been a thing. So what was cool, so coming out of school, I went and took I wanted to become a sales guy, right? And the whole purpose of that was I wanted to start a business. Mm-hmm. And if I get it in trouble, which I knew I would, because I don't have a lot of talent, I have a lot of aspiration, right? I could sell my way out of trouble, right? That was kind of the goal.
So if you could sell, you could do anything.
If I could sell, I could figure, hey, we'll figure a way out of it. So that was kind of how I got into the sales side of it and the entrepreneurial side. So I retired at 30.
Wow.
So so that was when I started my first company.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, and I did it again 45. And my wife's like, hey, dude, when you retire, you need to stop working, not work 10 times harder, right? That's the goal.
Yes, I don't know about your definition of retirement, but I could agree with her already.
So my definition of retirement is, you'll appreciate this, is if your additional income is greater than your expenses,
you're retired.
You're retired.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And you get to do cool things in
life.
You
get to do whatever you want.
Collect more surfboards
and
coach
watches.
baseball.
Yep. Yeah. Collect watches. Right? Collect businesses. You like to collect businesses, right? That's your gig, right?
Because you said this earlier, part of being an entrepreneur is the downside and the bad things that we go through and the adversity that we face sometimes. It's really addicting. Yeah. Because we like to solve problems. And how do you get out of that? Once you get out of that, it's like, I could do anything. And you have the stupid ego, and we're all way too optimistic.
Yep.
We believe in our own crap sometimes.
Yep.
And you end up doing it. You're like, well, I can't go back now. And you keep pushing through. And we're all driven in that way.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest tick in the world.
Two funny stories about that. So first is the difference between a cynic and an entrepreneur. No. The entrepreneur is willing to do something about it, right? They're both pissed off about something,
you
right?
You described me.
Right, exactly. So I'm pissed off about this, but I'm actually going to go try to fix it.
Right.
And the other one is, I think like 2-3 years ago, I said to my middle son, I said, it's been an awesome journey, Symtrain. I think it's really humbled me, and I'm really excited about being a lot more humble.
Right.
And he's like, what are you talking about? Yeah, like, you're not humble at all. He goes, you're just more humble than you were. That doesn't make you humble, right? I'm like,
in a normal eye.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I really want to get there. Because, by the way, the most successful people are the humblest ones you met. Right?
Because, the way I look at it is that I meet a lot of entrepreneurs and blessed to meet a lot of these guys, very successful people. The guy tells me that he did it on his own or she did it on their own. I'll tell you, I just met an asshole.
Yeah.
And you meet someone that tells you that I got blessed to have the right team around me. It's a true entrepreneur. They're the most successful ones. Yeah. Because you and I have been there, and egos take over sometimes. But what do we know? We met someone, had a partner, or whoever, someone came to our life that really changed the trajectory of business or the way we think in life. Yeah. And it humbles you. It really does.
Yeah, I one of the places I guest lecture, I tell the kids, I'm like, one of the things you need to do is go get advisors. Yeah. Go ask for help, right? And you'll be surprised how many people are willing to give and help. Yeah. But you got to ask them, but be meaningful, right? Be authentic and have some sort of differentiator there. Right. I have more coaches and advisors today than I've had in my whole career combined.
Like coaching you.
Yeah, coaching me.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm doing AI coaching. I'm coaching hopefully millions of people soon, right? But 100,000 today.
Only.
On my team, right? Yeah.
If I could get my kids to listen to me 100 times in my life, I've made it. Yeah. So your first business, what was that?
Yep. So my first business, well, it was kind of funny. I did a print brokerage. My first sales job, I was selling printing advertising. And so I did a print brokerage when I moved from that to another sales job to sell travel.
Got it.
And when I left that, I bought a small car polish company. I bought that company. And that was how I took my exit. My retirement funds were spent on that car polish company. And then I started an outbound biz dev at the same time. And I was kind of figuring out, some people said, hey, throw as much against the wall as you can and see what sticks. Right. And other people said, no, throw one thing at the wall and just run through it and make it work. So
any reason for getting to that business or any strategy behind it, or just entrepreneurial, I'm going to start something?
I want to start something. So my father was an investor in the car polish business.
Okay, got it.
So I had an inroad there, and he had some partners, and I was able to go buy them out. Okay. So that was one. And then that one's still running today.
And how big was that when you bought it?
Very small, right? Okay. It was probably under $1 million in revenue. So I gave that to my brother. Okay. My equity, and so he runs that with my mom today. So it's still kind of a family business, which is great.
That's awesome.
And then the other one, there was just kind of a passion of mine and my business partner as well. Right. Like it was like, for me, not having a lot of talent, right, and having to go sell, I had to do something different than everyone else, and I was willing to get on the phone.
The most talented people in the world will tell you that how they have no talent at all.
So. Or the ones without any. There's two groups, right?
Hey, you sound humble at least.
Or the ones without. But I was willing to do something that everyone else there wasn't willing to do, and I would get on the phone every single day, and I would make the 200 calls.
Outwork everyone.
Yeah, I just wanted to do that. And I had fun doing it, right? I liked ice breaking. I liked meeting people.
Right.
And it was something that differentiated me. So when I left that job, my next sales job, everyone said, hey, vertical focus or industry or skill set focus. And my skill set was biz dev. Now, I'm a biz dev leader. I'm going to go open new logos for you. And that's how I pitched and sold myself in my next sales job. And it was awesome. I got like a lot of offers.
Right.
So I'm like, hey, there's something here.
Right.
And I kind of just became a little passionate about the biz dev side of being productive and performing. This is probably it's in the late 90s, probably when I got passionate about it, 99. And when I started
the internet started coming in and development and branding really matters at that point all of a sudden.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And being able to set up meetings and set up appointments. That's how I started Frontline Selling in like 2002.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you started Frontline Selling, and what did you offer the customer?
Yeah, so we book really great sales appointments for software people, software sellers.
Okay, got it. So you focused on that industry.
Yeah, we focus on software salespeople, getting them in front of folks. And one of the reasons I did that, my partner was in software sales.
Got it.
And also I wanted to get into software sales, and the recruiters told me no. Right. And you know why?
Yeah.
Okay. So they all told me no. So I'm like, I'll prove them.
I got this.
Yeah. I've trained over 20,000 software salespeople how to prospect more effectively over a 15-year career. In that space, because that became what we did. So we trained them how to prospect more effectively, built a methodology.
So you had more of a business development training module, if you would.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so then we trained organizations to do so.
100%.
But you weren't like booking appointments for them and stuff like that.
But that's the other side of it. And then we would also book the appointments for them.
So you did both.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we did both. So I was like, hey, we'll teach your 7-figure sales reps how to do it.
Yeah.
Or because they're 7-figure sales reps, we'll just do it for them.
You.
Right? Like,
so you had
we had both sides.
Either way.
Yeah, we went either way. Yeah. So that was fun. That was a fun journey. And while I was there, I led all training because I love training. I love coaching. I just love developing people.
Right.
And I found out I wasn't that good at it because I was attriting like half of my new hires in the first 6 months on the job.
Right.
And Turjo, the best part about it was I thought that was like a badge of honor, right? Yeah. Because we're dealing with the livelihood of senior level software salespeople. Right. So only the best should be there. Right. So that was our mantra. Like only the best will survive.
Like hands-on, hand-to-hand combat.
Yes.
Training course, just get it done.
100%.
You're not kind of like Dale Carnegie. You're like really in their faces.
We're oh my gosh, Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross, right? What's second prize, right? Steak knives,
this
right?
Is boot camp.
Yeah. This was cold calling 101. But the thing was, after a while, maybe a little bit of maturity and humility, I realized most kids when they come out of college or people getting their second or third job, they don't actually take those jobs to fail. No. That's not a goal of theirs. And I was failing half of them.
Right.
And that sucked, right? And I'm like, that's not fair and that's not right. So I decided to up my game and I had to figure out why was I letting half of the people that I was hiring, why was I letting them down?
Right.
And I figured they were all letting themselves down, but the truth was it was me. And so we did some things, changed up our curriculum, and we built some technology that these folks could go in and practice, right? We're going to teach you some skills.
The role playing comes
in. And then now that we taught you the skills, go practice these skills, hone them, build your confidence.
It is so difficult for that. If anyone asks me, what do I do for a living? I'm a sales guy.
Right.
Like yourself, it is such a hard leap. It is so difficult from becoming a salesperson to a sales manager or developer.
Yeah.
It is so difficult.
Yep.
Because you could just jump in and close the deal.
Oh, yeah.
But to train someone else to do it, it's a whole different side. I think you face that little issue.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that I also love doing role plays with people. I change my voice. I change and I thought it was fun for everyone. And I tell my managing team, I'm like, hey, everyone's having fun. Like, well,
they're tortured.
You're having fun.
They're
but
not.
No one else is actually having fun except you. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Hey, asshole, sell this pen. Hurry up.
Sell the pen. Sell it to me now. So I thought it was a blast. And it turned out it wasn't so much fun for everyone. But that was another reason we had to lean in on that technology, right? So, get them, build the confidence, develop the skills, and then protect them from Dan. So that the angry ogre that would come in and say, hey, let's role play together. I'm going to make you better. It's going to be really hard on day 2. But you're going to be a better salesperson because of it. Apparently, not everyone was excited about becoming that much better on day 2.
Right.
You needed to taper.
You're a lot more passionate than they were.
I think I was.
Yeah.
And I was doing this in Georgia, and you could tell from my voice, and I already said, I had that Jersey mentality
and you're
coming in.
Tough skin, move.
Yeah. And I was passionate. I want to make you better.
Yeah.
And my wife all the time, she's like, hey, stop yelling at me. I'm like, I'm not yelling at you. I'm being passionate about the topic. This is a fun topic to talk about.
Right.
She was taking take it down a
you're
notch.
like, you care about it. Maybe they don't.
Take it down one or two notches.
How can't you do it? Why?
Right.
Why can't you?
The software does that. Software is unbiased, right?
Right.
And non-passionate. Right.
So when did you get this idea of the software? What year is this now?
So this is probably like 2014.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you go through a large learning curve and you're like, okay,
Yep.
I need to make these guys better.
Yeah, I got to do better. I got to make them better.
Right.
And so probably around 13, 14, we did that.
That's
and
incredible. It's really hard for entrepreneurs to say, you know what am I doing wrong? It is hard. It's just to critique yourself. It comes with maturity, but it also comes with a lot of humility and being humble. It's a hard thing to look at yourself in the mirror and say, what am I doing wrong?
Turjo, I tell my friends all the time.
Yeah.
So I told you what my kid told me.
Yeah.
I tell my friends all the time, like, I have a high level of self-awareness.
Yeah.
They're like, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. I'm like, no, I think
It's
I
in
do.
here.
Right. I want to, and I think I do, but apparently maybe I don't. Right. Yeah. But yeah, no.
No, but it takes a lot.
It
really
does.
Yeah.
So, but it was awesome. It was like kind of like this epiphany, right?
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool to just kind of flip that coin.
Right.
And I think that's a great lesson for everyone, right? Any situation you're in, and everyone tells you different ways to think about this. But what's my contribution?
Right.
What can I do different? Right? It's not what they're doing wrong.
No.
Like
what
what
can
am
I do
doing?
better?
Yeah. Or what can my company do better?
Right.
Which is a great way to do discovery and build product.
Right.
I built this product and it solves a huge problem.
Right.
But it creates 3 or 4 problems at the same time.
Right.
And then let's fix that. And then that's going to create another 2 or 3. So you're constantly fixing. It's that iterative cycle of, we call it the innovation cycle at Symtrain, right? My product and the design and engineering team, right? They're constantly iterating through feedback, through the vision of where we're heading as a business, the feedback, bugs too. You got to tackle those along the way. So and also the data. What's the data?
And how are you getting the feedback? So are you looking at feedback through like a lot of the technology models there and also what the customers are producing? Like, is there a KPI that you're keeping up with? How do you come back with that data?
100%. So we have our North Star KPI, right? Which is unique users.
Right.
What value are they getting out of the system? What are they doing in the system? That's our North Star. And there's a bunch of supporting input metrics that drive that data.
Right.
So the data tells you something, but then we ask, right? Like, hey, Turjo, you're in the system. What do you think? How's it working? You were doing this before, right? And now this is different now. Is it helping? And what are you seeing?
Right. Because your success is really a customer succeeding.
I have to, right?
If I don't succeed, I'm going to screw this. I'm never doing it again.
Yeah, we measure implementation. Like the definition of when implementation's over at Symtrain is when the customer attains value.
Right.
Right. When is that? When they attain value.
Right.
How do I know? Ask them and measure that. Measure it, right? Measure it too. And so you can see those things. So yeah, those are 2 of the data sources we're going to pull from: the actual data usage as well as, the feedback from our customer by doing really good discovery.
And how do they correlate? I'm sure there's a common line there.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out too. Right? I think that's the journey. Yeah. How do they correlate? Yeah. There should be some level of alignment. My product team spends a lot of time on that one.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll text you when we figure it out.
How about that? Well, that's the life goal. Yeah. And you'll never do it.
Yeah.
You keep on.
I will text
keep making it better.
Yeah.
You keep making it better. So 2014 now, you're really getting into a lot of software technology now to make it better.
Yes.
What's next?
Yeah. So and by the way, at Frontline, we had built another type of platform software technology, and that didn't go so well.
And what is that?
It was basically a prospecting productivity management technology and platform to help our clients track and perform well in prospecting, right? And it would integrate with their CRMs, and it was a failed initiative, right? So and that's the other thing, right? Being a failure is not a bad thing.
No, you just, as long as you can learn from it.
Yeah, and it was my money and my partner's money, right? So that was the hard part.
Right.
The wife and the kids didn't love that part of failure, but we learned from it. And then so my partner wasn't super excited about launching another platform, so he's like, no, and I'm like, yes. So that became my separation from Frontline, and in 2018 is when I launched Symtrain. I really geeked out about it.
And what happened to Frontline? Did you end up selling it or dissolving that business, moving on to a new one?
I wound up over time, like I kind of just walked out then, and he kept it.
Okay, great.
And then so over time he kind of bought me out.
Okay, good, very good. So now you got Symtrain.
It was not like any exits like I wish it was, or that
you hope for.
Yeah. But it was good. It was a good outcome for what we built, right? And so it was good. And then went and built Symtrain. Started Symtrain. No, so I had co-founders.
Okay,
I had partners. I have an amazing team now.
Okay.
Right, and we got somewhere in the neighborhood of 45 folks at Symtrain.
Big company.
Yeah, getting there. We
Okay.
we hope to get there.
Yeah.
There's this AI coaching space and we want to go win it.
Got it.
Yeah, so that's really important to
So
us.
Symtrain now, you're finding and you're like, okay, all these things I learned didn't go well. A lot of things worked out really well.
Yep.
I'm going to marry the two and get into Symtrains. And what is your very similar to Frontline with a new platform or completely different business?
Completely different business, right? This is a software business. And that was the other thing, right? We realized like, hey, it's hard to launch a software business in a services org. Right. It's not impossible, right? Because then you have this data source, that service telling you to guide you on how to build the software. It just wasn't a skill set that we had and spent enough time on. So we cut it off and just went and built a software business, right? No services tied to it. It's just software, product, good, design thinking approach, putting something out there as an MVP back in 2018, knocking on doors, which I was pretty good at that point, right? Asking people do you have the problem or not?
Right.
Yeah, we do. Okay, cool. I'd love to talk to you about a way that I solved it.
Right.
And other folks are solving for it and see if it might work for you guys. Yep.
So if I hear correctly, in the whole conversation that we had, you're not a tech guy.
No.
You're a great salesperson, and a good salesperson listens well. So you went to a market on selling services and trying to make someone better. And the whole time you realize, wait, technology could solve a lot of the things I'm hearing.
Correct.
And it happens to be in a great time where technology is becoming abundant and technology getting smarter. So how do you figure that technology out? Because you're not a techie at all.
Yeah.
You're not a California guy from Silicon Valley that knows technology only.
And not that bright either, right? Like those guys are. So yeah, I had all those things going for me. But I was just smart enough
you know how to connect the dots.
Go find a co-founder, right? Like let's go find a co-founder. Let's go build a product, with software folks. And then let's build a team around them, right? And so that became the strategy, right? Is the founder, co-founder type of approach.
Right.
And then building the team of people who are talented. And so you don't have to be talented at everything you do, right?
No.
You just need to identify talent really well and then support them, right? And build a culture that they can thrive in.
Right.
And that is actually a skill set of mine.
It is very, very important. And I tell people, I think you'll agree with me. And from what I heard, that you got married early or started a family very early.
Yes.
You could be good at one or two things in life. Like for me, I think I'm good at maybe one or two things in life. I suck at 80,000 things, and my wife reminds me every day.
Right.
And it's such a great thing because you know your weaknesses more than you know what you're okay at. Mm-hmm. And you hire them or team up with them or partner up, whatever you want to call it. But that's very important to have the humility and say that, I'm not Superman. We have all failed.
Yep.
And it teaches you that, if you did that better, if you had the right person, it's not you. It's okay.
Right.
And it seems like that you went through that little.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to learn along the way, right? Yeah. As you're making your mistakes and failing. I just call it, and I didn't coin the term, but failing forward, right?
Yeah.
And which is the right way to do it. And this way,
I like that.
I'm never afraid of failing. It's not something I fear at all. As a matter of fact, I don't mind it. It's I'll take it on,
right.
and because it's never that bad, right? And so absolutely. And what's really neat about that is they talk about these management styles that struggle, and the superhero manager or the firefighter manager, right? Or the life preserver, godlike manager who's just there to protect their people. Those folks aren't good. They get in the way, right?
No, all the time.
Yeah, you got to develop people, and you got to give them the.
It's hard sometimes.
Yes, which is hard. That's why I got into the AI coaching space. Because I wasn't that good at it on one-on-one. So I built software that was better than me. Right. But I'm passionate about coaching and developing people. Right. I think it's a really important thing. Right. And I think that's where AI is taking us. Like a lot of folks talk about AI replacing humans. Mm-hmm. Then they do, but they replace tasks that humans do. Right. Which makes humans better. Right. So if I'm doing 5 tasks and I can now do 10 because AI is doing 5, I get smarter in my 10.
So you're not replacing humans, you're making them more efficient.
Correct. Yeah. Making them perform better, more efficient, all of those things. Right. And that's the space that
we're in.
You
have a smart person controlling that.
That
you can have an idiot.
Right.
Behind, I hate to say it this way, but you can't just pick a random person off the street and say, go do. It's not that easy.
Correct.
Right.
Well, that's what developing people is all about in the first place.
Correct.
And if you have a co-pilot or a companion AI that's helping you go on that journey, you become less and less of an idiot over time.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's kind of our...
So what was your mission behind
That's
Symtrain?
our mission, right?
That's it.
To make people less of idiots over time. I was thinking, as I said it.
The company slogan, I just thought about that.
I was thinking, I'm like, that might be pretty good. I don't know if it's going to sell, but we'll try it.
We need to go with our guys here. We need Symtrain immediately.
Yeah, let's get it in.
Yeah, because
absolutely.
I could even be smart.
Oh, man. No, I think so. So a digital coach for everyone.
Okay.
That was our vision.
But is there any, like, are you digital coaching someone to be better at sales now or management? What's your focus?
Yes, great question, right? So if you think about digital coach for everyone, there's 8 billion of those, right? That's a big market.
That's what I was just getting at, right?
And it's really hard to be successful when you're bifurcated that wide.
Yeah.
So we had to really focus and segment our market.
Right.
So we said, okay, who are we going to go after? So we picked contact center agents. And the reason why is our software is really good at having a two-way conversation. So we simulate that role play exercise that also integrates software into the flow. You don't need to have the software in it, or you can have it or not have it.
So this is getting very interesting here. For the audience that doesn't know Symtrain, right? Now, I'm your customer. I call you and say, Dan, I have a problem in sales.
Yeah.
Whatever. Break down for me, what are you doing with AI now?
Yeah.
I need more sales leads.
Yeah.
What's next?
So I'll break it down a few ways. Hey, Dan, I'm having a problem with sales. Okay, cool. What are you doing to train and enable those folks?
Yeah.
We're doing X.
I give them a script and I tell them to call these 100 homes.
Right.
I'm in the roofing business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then my question is like, how do you know they're delivering that script well?
You know, my guys are really good. Love them. One guy I have is really good.
You're better than the rest. Do you record his calls?
Yeah, but I've been on some visits with him and cold calling. He does a great job.
Yeah, and I'm sure he does. But we can scale that great job across all 200 of those reps.
But every time I open social media, everyone says they do that. And I had the last two guys I hired. One guy had one lead and the other guy had nothing.
Right. So we're going to give them those scripts. We're going to give them those scripts to practice in Symtrain. We're going to go through the repetition. We're going to give them instant feedback as to how well they're performing. And that's what Symtrain does. It provides that safe practice environment. So all 200 of those reps can go in and practice and get prepared for the job. So not only are they skilling up, but they're building the confidence that they can.
You're not so scared all of a sudden.
They're going to all perform like that number one rep.
You're knocking on doors for my roofing company now, or my plumbing company without knocking on doors, but you're facing the problem.
You're facing the problem and you're practicing. And then what's really neat is we get the recordings of those top people and we create more exercises.
Love it.
So you can pinpoint specific skills.
And if I hear myself, correct myself. And that's all about course correction.
100%.
And you're taking the same human being, making them a little better.
Yeah. And then the manager doesn't have to do those exercises, don't have to measure them, don't have to sit down, don't have to do the side-by-sides, don't have to give the one-on-one feedback. Symtrain does it for the agents, the sales reps, and the managers. That's
so
100%.
Now you're just developing what I already have.
Correct.
And make me a better company or make me a better owner here.
Yeah. And what's neat is there's a lot of people in the QA space and the performance management space, and they have really good content. And they're like, hey, how do you know your content's better than mine? I said, well, I know for a fact it's not.
Right.
Because I don't have any content.
Right.
My content is my customers. It's all customized to the roofing company.
You're taking what I have already.
Correct.
It's a slow evolution rather than a quick revolutionary approach to I give you 100 leads and then I leave and you're done.
Correct. I'm gonna make those 200 people create those 100 leads on an ongoing basis.
No, I love that because I get very leery and skeptical about a company that sells everything.
Right.
Expertise on literally everything. You have electrical company, you have advisory firm, you have a real estate brokerage. Oh, who gets you more leads? Bullshit. You can't. You can't.
Right.
Like, I get you're a good salesperson, but you're saying it doesn't matter because you're not creating any content at all.
Yep, my clients are.
Yes.
Or we're using their assets to create content. That we use AI. Our AI is designed to create content really, really fast.
Right.
So the slow roll could be instant.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really neat.
Think about the biggest content creators in the world now. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. It's our content.
Yep, 100%.
That they're just advertising.
Exactly.
They're the platform.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And the difference between Symtrain and a lot of those other content providers is there's a logical outcome, which is more leads and more sales.
Yeah.
And there's a pathway to get there. And there's a learning process to achieve those outcomes.
And it's a long-term play.
That's exactly right. And that's what's designed into the
It's
platform.
not a quick influx of Google ad dollars and then you're done.
Right. 100%.
This is sustainable rather than quick hits.
Yep. It's coaching those folks on your team to continuously get better. Right. So that's a coaching cycle. Let's analyze how they're doing. Let's recommend an exercise in Symtrain for them to perform
Constant
better.
Feedbacks.
And then let's analyze how they're doing and identify new coaching opportunities. So that's the AI coaching cycle, which is awesome. I love that. But then on the training side, the AI role play side is let's take the content we have and let's prepare them for their role. Let's give them the confidence they need to perform well and make sure they master those sales calls and those conversations.
And how does that work? So, I'm like, okay, I love what I hear so far. I need more roofing leads. I subscribe to your AI platform now. Is this in person or is this hybrid approach where my team is getting a computer in front of them and going through a course and then I get to see you too? Or how does this work?
Yeah, it's them. They'll log into Symtrain and they'll start doing these sales calls that they need to perfect in order to book those appointments. Right. So they'll practice in Symtrain.
So this is just with AI. AI is I'm knocking another door now.
Right.
I'm in front of this and it's a scenario.
Yeah.
I jump to another
If you
scenario.
knock on my door,
Right.
I'll probably open it. My wife wouldn't.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
But if I open it, you're talking to Dan. So if you knock on Symtrain's door, you're talking to the AI.
Right.
And you're having a two-way conversation with Symtrain.
Right. And the AI is getting smarter by the day and figures out what to ask. And it's a real role play.
Not only does it get smarter, but it guides you to the logical outcome of success. The most optimal outcome, which is, hey, let's get this deal closed. Let's set up an appointment. Let's resolve an issue. Let's increase the amount of revenue.
Great.
So whatever you want to achieve in order to have a better performance or a better outcome.
And it's not your content. So you're really molding onto my content now.
Correct.
And making that a little better.
Yeah. And what's really neat too is there's a lot of iterations of that. There's the happy path.
Right.
We'll start there.
Right.
But then what if I have the angry customer or the confused customer? What if they take me on an alternate path or they
don't ever come back again.
They throw objections at me, right? I can practice all of those scenarios.
Right.
And I could be so well prepared, right?
Right.
You got to be careful analysis paralysis.
No, of course. Yeah.
Let's prepare them for a certain amount and then get in the field. And that's where the AI coaching comes in for the ongoing iterative learning over time.
So I love that. So what I like you just said here is that, again, the software is great, but it's not the real world, because that's going to be my next question.
Right.
But I could go to the real world and say, holy crap, Dan taught me 8 different things last week. 6 of them was great. The other 2, I had no idea.
Right.
This lady just came up with a shotgun.
Right. Yeah. I wasn't prepared for the shotgun response.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for AI did not treat me. But I could go back on AI now and say, hey, there's 2 scenarios I wasn't prepared for. But I'm more mindful learning now. On the things that didn't work out.
And then you could spread that across all other 199 of your sales reps too. So now they're all prepared for that.
And how's your pricing model? Is it a monthly subscription or is it a organization or per sales rep? How does that work?
Yeah, depending on the number of seats. We will kind of package them in groups, like 1 to 100, 101 to 200. So depending on how many seats you need in the platform, you're going to pay just a monthly fee for those seats in that usage.
And what's the average time that you see? Because I'm not trying to promote you or anything here, but if I'm a business owner, if it works, you kind of want to keep on going because it seems like it's ongoing.
Right.
The more I do it with you, your software gets a little smarter. I get smarter. Because you're preparing my sales reps, but the real world could teach something different. But you kind of go back
and then iterate on it.
Yeah,
100%.
What is the time frame that you see that to make a big impact?
Yeah. So it's kind of funny you say you, because I say I all the time about Symtrain. I'm like, when I say I, I'm actually talking about Symtrain. It's not I. But you're like you. I'm like, oh, Symtrain. Yeah. So look, it's going to take you probably 30 conversations to kind of master a certain skill. And what's cool is it's like not 30 times the same conversation. You're talking about branched conversations, multiple paths.
And what is that, about a month?
No.
2 weeks?
2 days.
Okay, so it depends on how much time I want to put in front of the computer. Right,
exactly. Right. How long does it take me to have a 5-minute conversation 30 times?
So you could be a business owner and say that, lock yourself up in this room here for the next 3 days.
Yeah.
And learn this crap.
Picture this, right? Yeah. So insurance company, hurricanes, they onboard in 72 hours. They know the hurricane's coming. They don't know if it's going to hit or where it's going to hit or how. So they can't really staff for it ahead of it. So they can do a little bit, but they have to onboard folks. It was 72 hours to onboard.
Never knew that.
If your house was gone and you had to wait 72 hours for someone to pick up the phone to help you solve your problem,
would not be very happy.
You're going to be a little pissed, right? Yeah. So we got that down to 4.
Wow.
4 hours.
4 hours.
With higher NPS, their net promoter score for people who lost their homes. So now think about it. They're miserable. They're upset. They're sad. Everything's going away. Yeah. They're saying, hey, I would recommend this company. Right.
Yeah.
They're helping them.
Yeah.
They have empathy. Yeah. They're doing things in 4 hours.
The worst thing is that when you're in a situation, someone just picks up and says, don't worry, we'll be okay. It could be utter BS.
Right.
But to hear someone's voice just feels good.
We got you. Turjo, we'll call you back. We're going to send somebody out and we're going to get you.
It could be 3 days. I don't care, but as long as you pick up.
Yeah.
Because that
But
time for feels
as long as you don't, it doesn't take 3 days for me to pick up the phone originally.
No,
if
3
I
days.
pick up that phone in the first 4 hours of a hurricane hitting,
Yeah.
right? Because you're not thinking about calling me in the first 4 hours.
No.
But if you call in hour 6 and I pick up immediately
Yeah.
and I say, hey, we got you, we're here for you, and we're going to send somebody out there to save your livelihood and your home and those sorts of things. You're good. You'll wait the 3 days for the person to come out.
You
Absolutely.
could wait 5 days.
Right. Yeah.
Again, it's just saying that, hey, help is not knowing is the
Yeah.
worst thing.
Yeah. Check me on the math, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
72 hours to 4 hours, that's like 18 times faster with a higher NPS score, right? Higher score. Like that's insane outcomes, right?
Yeah.
Like AI does so many really cool things. And that's what Symtrain's doing for our customers. And that's just one example. I got hundreds.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're changing the way business really trains now. That's more than you're not helping just sell. It's more of training, development, all of that.
It's that development of human capital, right? And it's the training, but it's in that what I get so geeked out about is that ongoing coaching cycle, that it's iterative and it builds off of itself, as you were suggesting.
You're agnostic to industry.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter.
Yep.
You could be a customer service agent or HR or insurance.
Yeah. And like I said, right, there's 18 million of those contact center agents, and I don't have 18 million users on my platform today. So I do have a lot of growth to go in there.
Yeah.
So we're very
How many do you
focused.
have today?
What's that?
How many do you have today?
100,000.
100,000 you said earlier. Yeah.
So I want to get to 1 million. Million's our goal, and then we'll reset our goals after we get there.
And what happens 100 to 1 million on the business side now? You're not having to hire more people now.
We do.
Yeah,
I mean,
but not like for the scale.
No, right. If you think about it, I mean,
because
really,
1 to 10 million is a lot less hiring.
Correct. Yeah. Absolutely. So if you think about this, is software in general, right? The revenue per employee is much greater than obviously a services company where you have to deliver humans to provide service, right? So that is a neat thing. And then AI extends that even more. Like we have some internal initiatives. I was just on a call this morning. We're using AI to build our content, and then we're giving it to editors to clean up. So we're doing a 10x multiple on the amount of content we're pushing out to the market with the same size team, right? So I don't have to hire those 10 folks. You're exactly right? So there is a nice economy of scale.
And therefore you do a lot more for your team that's been there with you, and then a lot more MIPS and things like that, whatever.
100%. Yeah. And then they get excited. They love it, right?
Love it. Yeah.
Then it's not just the culture. Then it's the culture and other things that are coming their way that gets them fired up about. And they all believe in the mission, right? You were asking about the mission. I gave you the vision. The mission is to help employees learn how to perform better.
I like the fact that this is unique because now I talk to a lot of people and they take on that sales part for you, sales agencies and stuff like that, which is great. Don't get me wrong. But you're doing something really cool where you're not selling anything for me.
Right.
You're selling me on what my vision is, and you're making me better. Therefore, my company could go a lot longer with or without you.
Right.
You're giving the manual.
Yeah. When I matter, I get in the way. Right.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a problem for scaling the business. Right.
And let's be honest, right? How many companies could afford an R&D is very rare.
Yeah.
But you could really fill that gap in. I'm sure it's a lot cheaper than hiring folks to train and develop and research. And
it is cheaper to buy Symtrain than to try to build it. Just the maintenance cost. We're lower than the maintenance cost. As one of the initiatives we're thinking about is buy for today, build for tomorrow, and let people build on our platform. Let them build their own AI coaching strategy, right? And if you think about it, Turjo, a lot of people are talking about AI replacing humans, right, in those tasks.
Yeah.
When they replace humans, they're going to replace the lowest common denominator, what we call the tier 1 activities, right? Well, guess how people learn today, right? Like your sellers who are getting on the phone, you're giving them the smaller houses and the small. You're not giving them the big.
Because you're worried.
Yeah, right.
The big commercial project, you're not giving them.
I'm not calling Buc-ee's on day one.
No.
Right? And you're not betting the farm on me on day one. So that goes away. Guess what they need? They need an AI coaching strategy.
Right.
So this thing I've been doing for the last 7 years it's been a really nice to have. And the people that can afford it, they buy it because it helps their people. Right. But now it becomes a must have. Right. You cannot go on an agentic AI or conversational AI journey, if you will, to replace humans or replace tasks for humans without an AI coaching strategy tied to it.
How do you do it?
It's the beauty of it. Yeah.
So how does the end look like here? Because I feel like this is great and really bad for someone like you because you're so passionate and entrepreneurial.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Because now you could fill out so many other holes too. Right. This is not just development. I mean, you could get into student learning.
Exactly. Yes.
Language. Whatever. Like this could be unlimited.
There's pieces of that 8 billion you can just keep targeting.
Adding on.
After the 18 million, there's 30 million back office agents working in those same companies.
Right.
So that's a pretty nice opportunity for
you
us,
call it
right?
whatever you want, but every time I hear you speak, and now a lot of your bio, your introduction makes sense. So you're really a guy that's passionate about helping develop humans,
Right. Yeah.
whether it's sales or be a better coach, or you don't care,
Right.
right? You could develop anything.
Yeah. So I think you started out by working at a gas station.
Yes.
And then owning one. Right?
Yes.
And then you grew from there. Right. And then you might have owned more than one, and then just kind of created some sort of
it kept them going.
ecosystem around all fuel supply.
Yes. Yes.
But so think about that, right? As you think about how people grow and companies grow.
Right.
So there's so many different paths. One of the cool things is these companies who are working with agentic AI, they have to train that AI.
Right.
I have an AI coaching application. I train people.
Right.
I train people on a process.
Right.
You have to perfect that process, right? In order to get all your people to perform really well.
Right.
But once you perfect that process, now you need data streams to start training your AI.
Right.
So there is a path down that avenue too, that my customers are going to need to come back to AI coaching to train their humans and to train their AI agents as well.
And it's still cheaper than,
way cheaper.
again, if you're a plumber,
Right.
you don't have time and money to develop that.
No,
I wouldn't even know where to start.
Time, money, or even desire. Yeah, there are people who have a desire to build what I built. They desire it, right?
Yeah, but my thing is, why would I?
That's
If
exactly
it's
right.
a lot cheaper and more. It's proven.
If you could buy it from me for cheaper than it costs to maintain yourself, why would you
And
put
the time
your
savings.
intellectual capital and your time and energy into that?
Yeah, and real money.
Yeah, unless I'm a jerk and you're like, I just don't want to work with that guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the other thing in the future. Eventually, I will let down Symtrain as we continue to grow, and then they'll replace me. That's it. That's my path, right? What is that? Is it the Peter principle? What's that principle? Everyone rises to their own capability, their own incapabilities,
and then you're done. Yeah,
right?
But this has a lot of legs here. I mean, you're really doing great work here.
Thank you.
And monetizing, which is not a bad thing.
Not bad at all. And look, at the end of the day, I mean, super passionate about it. I think I was saying before, one of the guest lectures I do, I tell the kids when I was in my 20s, what was really important to me is look forward to Friday or Friday. I wanted to look forward to every day that ended in Y. That was my goal. It was a passion goal for me. And I actually figured it out, Turjo. And it's not the greatest thing ever. Right? Because I'm so passionate about what I do. I'm so excited. I get up at 2 a.m. and check emails, right? My wife's like, dude, you have to stay asleep. I'm like, I will tomorrow. There's no sleeping tomorrow, right? It's so funny. And it's like this problem that's like I'm addicted to it. It's like OCD, right? Or it's
so fun.
And I got to find the healthy balance. I really do. And I'm a little bit off kilter right now. And it's really important to me that I can come back to balance. But it's just like, hey, I worked all this time to find that. And I had it in my last company too. Right. And the passion did go away a little bit when the passion started leaning towards this thing, right? This digital coach for everyone. And that's why I said I'm going to go that way.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Right.
For me, I mean, it's funny you say in every day that ends with Y. For me, it's, oh God, it's Friday. Thank God it's Monday.
Yeah.
I feel like I go to bed early on Sunday, so time goes quicker. I'm ready to get. What else do you do? This is so much fun.
Exactly.
Right. And especially within your side, you're really like, I could tell that you're passionate about humans.
Yeah, I do go play baseball on Sundays, right? I have some things to go do. I love hanging out with my family, right? They're amazing, especially adult children. You're kind of hanging out with them now, right? And they judge you, right, back, so which is kind of neat.
I become bro now.
Yeah, you got to raise the bar. You got to raise the bar.
My kids are, they make fun of me all the time, which is great. And I have no life besides work and family, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
I love it. It was by choice.
Because you love it, right?
I love it.
Exactly.
I got married very early, and the wife and I...
Like me or sooner?
I was at 21.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congrats.
My first son at 24, so very close to you.
Yeah.
My big thing is I see all these people work-life balance. I never understood work-life balance, but I try to make an effort on trying to make that happen. And we're like, you know what? We break life in 3 buckets. You have your work career, you have your social life, and you have your work, social, and family. I'm sorry.
Yep.
In a perfect world, you do a third. Well, I'm really passionate about work. And I really love my family.
Right.
I like my friends.
Yeah.
Oh, I just said I like my friends.
Right.
Love
passion,
and love, right?
Like, yeah.
And it's not fair for me to kill myself and trying to create that time.
Right.
Do I really like enjoying clubbing and stuff? I don't really give a shit. Like the music's so loud, I can't hear. Like I've been old all my life.
Yeah.
I love work. I'll spend time with you. And it kept going back. And now it's like to a point where we have a couple great friends and we're blessed to have in our life.
Mm-hmm.
But our work-life balance is we put like 95% of the time in these two buckets, and that's that. But we made an intentional decision to do that.
Yes.
And we are very pleased.
Yeah.
And it's not for everyone. I get that too.
100%. One of the things I started doing in my 30s is I started telling people at work that I love them.
Yeah.
And that's a scary thing because that's it's a little bit of an HR issue, right?
Yeah, in today's world.
But I ran HR, so I could kind of get away with it. But my goal was as long as it was authentic and real.
Right.
And then I just started telling my friends I love them too, right? And it like they tell me back now that they love me, right? And like, hey, I love you, and like I'll hang up a phone, and people will be like listening to me, like, who was he talking to, right? It's like
my buddy.
Yeah, that was my buddy. That was my guy. That was my guy. I went to middle school or high school, or it was my college roommate, right? So that has helped a lot, right?
Yeah.
Because then what you're checking yourself all the time, you got to mean it. Yeah,
right.
You got to mean it, and it has to be real.
Right.
Yeah.
Where do you see Symtrain going? Because this could be, not could be, it's already on its way.
Yeah, it's definitely on its way.
Big undertaking here.
Yeah, to get there, and I mentioned a few times, we could use some more talent to get there.
Right.
But look, there's a huge opportunity in this AI coaching space, right? Where if you think about it, even if my average cost turns out to be $8, which is a little greater than that, $8 a month,
right.
1 million users is $100 million company, right? And that's kind of RC, right? You know, there's a lot of folks in town or anywhere, founders that are like, oh, I want to create $1 billion company. It's like, who decides? A couple of VCs decide, right?
Yeah.
If you're $1 billion unicorn or not, right? And then decacorn. But you do need to drive revenue to get there. But I'd rather just focus on the revenue side, right? And where we're heading, and how do we get to 1 million users? How do we get to 100 million in revenue? Like that, that's our next phase of growth.
For the $100 million revenue.
Yeah, and that's where we're going. And if you think about it, what's really cool is all the folks at Symtrain, no one really talks about 100 million in revenue. We talk about 1 million humans that we're impacting their lives.
And the revenue comes in automatic.
Absolutely. The impact of their lives is we're making them better performers at their job. When they go home and look their kids in the eye, they look in the eye going, hey, I got this, right? I'm better. I can do this. My confidence is up.
Right.
Like, that's meaningful. I love that stuff.
That's a big
Yeah. That's my favorite part. Getting feedback from my end users, right?
Yeah.
I love the business owners and those folks giving me feedback. But when the people log in,
like a sales rep
and like, this was awesome.
Yeah,
this was different, better than anything I've seen before.
Right.
Symtrain really helped me do my job, helped me prepare. That hits home.
And $100 million is not bad either.
Yeah. Absolutely. Right.
But I love that.
It'd only be my first time getting there, right? You've been there like a half a dozen times.
The thing is that the way I look at it now, and I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, ups and downs, but my last company, I was doing $4+ billion in revenue.
Yep.
It's what you keep.
Yeah.
And how impactful are you, right? And right partnership is important.
Mm-hmm.
Bad private equity group, or you pick good partners. And there's good and bad in everything. Right?
Yep.
But in my current format now, I don't care if I'm doing 100 million or 10 million or 10 billion. It's irrelevant as long as you're being impactful. And it took a lot to get to this point.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone says it after they get there, but it's like in the beginning, I chased that big dollar amount. I did. We all did. But how much are you impacting and how much are you keeping?
Exactly.
You could make $5 billion a year or generate.
Right.
You might be broke. I mean, right?
Yeah, and somebody at this table is. No, no, but I mean, no, wrong guy. Wrong, you pointed to the wrong. Yeah. No, but I get what you're saying. Absolutely, right?
And people, we chase that
that
number. We just had a guest earlier. She was a very similar story where she was doing a lot. She's selling thousands of handbags and not keeping a lot of it.
Right.
Now she does a lot less and making a lot more.
Making more. Yeah, that's an interesting
incredible.
Way to approach the business.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but it comes with maturity and time, and it's okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'll tell you what, like I told you, I have more coaches and advisors today than I've ever had.
Right.
And it's important to me. I was on the phone this morning with one of them guiding me through something. And I'm like, I just love his clarity of thought, right? I actually belong to a group in town of coaches. They coach, and they've sold to big exits, and they coach CEOs. So I belong to that group, but there's always room for one more, Turjo.
Yeah.
I could use a little bit of extra help. Man.
Honestly speaking, for me, we started this advisory firm 5-6 months ago. And for me, it wasn't really to make money. It was to help people not make the same mistakes I made.
Yep.
Because I made so many of them. And it's okay. I wish I had someone, maybe I was just arrogant. I don't know. Or maybe I was running too fast.
Mm-hmm.
I never stopped and said, let me get some help. Am I doing it right?
Right.
now when somebody talks to me, I'm like, you know what? Don't do it this way. Do it this way because I've been there before.
Yeah.
Not because I know everything.
Yeah, I did that.
I did that.
Here's
it
what
didn't
happens.
work out.
Right. Here's
optionality.
Yep.
Or if I don't know, I'm like, you know what? I know a guy named Dan, a good friend. Talk to me. He created the software thing.
Yeah.
And it's okay to say that
Yep.
I'm not the right person for you. I know someone else that is. It helps so much. So I could actually want to get some coaching and all that. Like, I would love that.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'd love to join a group that could just talk to people and say, you know, what worked for you?
Yeah.
Because this didn't work for me.
Exactly.
And it's okay to say.
Yeah. And what's really cool about that, and I tell people all the time, like, there's only one person that defines success for Turjo.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah. That's
right.
it. Yeah.
And that's awesome. And then so nobody really gets to decide other than you.
Right.
That, hey,
And-
what is the, where am I at?
And
in
for
my
some
gauge?
people, that could be $10 billion net worth.
Yep.
Some people having their own home could
Exactly. That's success. 100%.
be it. And who are we to
Happy
judge?
family,
Agree. Health.
kids that love me.
Yeah, talk
right?
to someone that's going through a health issue.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny. I wrote a book for
Did
my
you really?
kids. Yeah. It's called Financial Sense.
When the hell did you get time?
I wrote it over a 20-year period.
Okay.
My wife's like, no, you didn't. You wrote it over 6 months. But no, I started when my son was born, right?
Wow,
my
yeah.
28-year-old. And my goal was to give it to him when he graduated college.
That's so cool.
And then I iterated.
What's the name of the book?
Financial Sense.
Okay.
And so then I iterated it for my second son. It got a little better. I actually hired an editor to help.
Right.
And then I'm going to iterate third and last time when my daughter graduates
so
college,
cool.
right? So what's kind of neat. But in there, it talks about a bunch of concepts, right? And one of which is, who gets to define success is you, right? But also it talks about this concept I mentioned before of additional income. Right. And, one of the things is Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah.
So Robert wrote about Rich Dad, Poor Dad in those books, but he talks about passive income.
Yeah.
It's a fallacy in his book because he talks about passive income from real estate.
Yeah.
It's like, no, dude, and I own real estate and you own a lot. That's additional income, and that stuff could get in your way. Right. Is that additional income when the time you have to invest into that additional income is not passive.
No, it's
right.
not.
And then you get yourself in big trouble because now you're stuck between multiple things and you're just trying to find your own path to success. Right.
I agree. And I hear that. I'm glad you brought this book up because for me, I know a lot of people that want to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
For whatever odd reason, right? Everyone in corporate wants to be an entrepreneur because they find it so easy.
And everyone in entrepreneur, they want to be
they're like, what the hell am I doing? I should have. Look, I'm a brown guy. I should listen to my dad and go like, be a doctor.
Be a doctor.
Yeah. I hate the idea of the concept of keep your nest egg here and then create passive income, then you'll jump. No, you're not. If you're comfortable, you should be very uncomfortable because if that's what you want to do, jump when it's really bad.
Yep.
Don't wait.
Right.
If you get a promotion, quit. Because if you don't, you're going to get stuck. Right?
Yeah.
Or be happy with what you have and
Correct.
it's okay.
Yes.
But to your point, that passive income takes so much time. There's going to be the only passive income you have ever.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not passive.
No, exactly right. And there's a work stream that requires. I told you, I think I mentioned to you at one point I loved real estate. Now I just don't have enough room in my heart for it anymore.
A real estate fund.
Yeah. But
what did you invest in, by the way?
At first, some multifamily housing, and then
Do you still own multifamily?
Nope.
Okay, you got rid of it.
I do, and then I invested in office buildings. Yeah, unfortunately, I still own those, right? And then I took that and then I invested in like vacation properties, right? Which is the third element, right?
Yeah.
And then ultimately, so that was kind of the path of that process. But at the end of the day, it's like I don't have time for that now. It's no longer when it's a hard physical asset like that, it becomes a little bit harder to divest, right?
The only way you could do it is that if you have a lot of scale, don't get caught in that middle ground. It's really hard.
Oh yeah.
People don't realize,
right?
People don't realize that owning 5 houses rental or 4 shopping centers, it's a lot harder than owning 5,000.
Correct.
It's way harder.
Yes, 100%.
And people don't get that.
Yeah, they don't.
They think
at
it's
all.
passive, and then all of a sudden you lose your weekends.
Yeah.
And you're having to take a PTO from your job because you got to go manage some crisis.
Because you're not only building an operating model to support that, but then you're running the operating model.
It's not passive.
Right.
They think it's just mailbox.
The mailbox. If you offload that operating model, that someone else builds it and runs it for you, right? And that's where you're talking about the 5,000 versus 5. I think the break point's a lot less than 5,000, but you're right in terms of the easy or hard part of it. Exactly.
But it's a great segue to come back to Symtrain again.
Sorry.
For me, is the fact that I might be a plumber. Think of myself as the guy that owns 2 rental homes.
Yep.
Or the guy that owns 5,000.
Right.
Give it to someone like Symtrain, and I don't have to worry about that.
Right.
I have a property manager in hand or a developer. I don't have to create that whole thing.
Yes.
I could sell plumbing. Let me go sell that every day.
Exactly.
Let someone else do the work.
Yes, is exactly right. Yeah, a lot of
Great model.
people who do, like you were talking about, want to be entrepreneurs. Like they'll go in and they'll buy a job.
Yeah.
Right. Or they'll create a job for
the Subway
themselves.
model.
Exactly. Yeah. Now you have a job, right?
Right.
The Subway model, I think it breaks around 10. You have to own 10 franchises before you can actually.
But it's so hard because you don't make any money
How do
on
you
the
get
first
to 10?
one or two.
Right?
You don't
Exactly.
get to 10.
Exactly.
Right.
You need to. Well, one of my buddies, I just saw him this weekend. He said, "Hey, the easiest way to make $1 million is to start with $1 billion and be a trader." Right?
It's so much easier. You know, it's funny. Their last CEO of Subway, great person, know him personally, Mr. Chitsey. He came from Burger King.
Mm-hmm.
And when I sat down with him, that's my whole thing. I'm like, because at one point I wanted to go buy some Subways. I'm like, I kept looking at the model. I'm like, I need to buy like 700 to make any money. And I'm like, how does it work? He's like, it doesn't. It is very hard.
Correct.
And it's not Subway's fault because they have to keep the pricing so competitive on the retail side.
Yep.
So the margins are razor sharp. The only way you make money is save labor.
Yep.
Mom works in the morning, dad works at night, child puts in the middle.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get there. It's a rat race.
Yeah.
But you have, you're busy. You're not working for someone else.
Right. You know what I love about your story?
What was that?
So one of the concepts at the end of the book I was talking about, the financial sense, it says you decide. You can think 10 million's a lot. And the difference between someone who thinks 10 million's a lot and the person who thinks 100 million's a lot, there's one difference. It's just they just think 10 times bigger than the other because they both have talent.
Yeah.
Right. And in this conversation, I said you have to own 10 Subways to do okay. Right. And then you came back and said 700 to do okay. But it's just just think 70 times bigger than I was thinking about it. Right.
And,
which is
some
awesome.
people tell me all the time, like I hear this and it bugs me just because, and they said from ignorance, it's not intentional, but they're like, oh, that's such a nice life. That guy has a private plane. He gets picked up by a chauffeur and running around. I'm like, you don't understand. Yes, of course, you get one or two of these movie stars and rappers jumping on a private plane to show.
Yep.
But the guy that's truly using a plane, you don't want to have his life.
Right.
That guy has a plane because that walk to the airport, it's not worth the time. Mm-hmm. He's running. Right. He's probably in 8 meetings that day using that plane. Yeah. It's a tool. Yep. You can't stand that, I promise you. So don't think that it's so green on the other side.
Absolutely.
That it's just luxury. Yes, it is luxury. Yeah. But the amount of stress and that human being is taking on.
It becomes, it's in your statement, right? Yeah. Unless you're taking the family on a holiday, it's more a necessity.
It's a necessity.
Than a luxury.
Yeah, because he could never reach $10 billion of revenue without that thing that transports him. Yeah. It's
like WeWork, right? He had to have that private jet, or he never would have been that successful.
Yeah, have to, right? Back to your business. Yeah. It's not. You don't have to. This is not. Geography does not matter for you.
Did you say what?
Geography does not matter.
No, not at all.
You're
clients all over the world.
You're cloud-based.
Yep.
So what other countries are you in?
Philippines, Australia, India, South America, EMEA, South Africa. Right.
So this is global.
It's global. Yeah. What's really cool, what I love is we did one today. We had a town hall meeting this morning. And we do them every month. I'm trying to get them every 2 weeks because I kind of geek out and not everyone turns the cameras on. But when they do, and you look around and you got these faces from around the world and the amount of diversity, it's really awesome. Right. And this diverse group of humans that are just doing great work. Right. And our clients love working with them. Right. It's a really cool feeling. And I love that part of it. Right. And they all have ownership, right? They have ownership in their role, ownership in what they're doing. And we try to keep lifting them up, promoting them, but also giving them more accountability. Right. And which is a really fun thing. So I do love having a global organization. Sure. Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So how do people find you?
So obviously Symtrain.com, Symtrain.ai as well. Okay. Probably should have led with that one, but both of those go to the same place. Right. Obviously Dan McCann at Symtrain.com. Hit me up on LinkedIn. Okay. Right. Dan McCann's a pretty easy name to get to or remember. Right. Right. And I love connecting with folks. Every single LinkedIn, I get a lot. Right. Sure. I look at them. Right. I don't accept them all. I look at them all and just be like, hey, who is this person? Should I connect with them? Can I message them? And what I do hate is when people rely on LinkedIn to communicate with me. Yeah. I'll get to it, but not every day. I don't even get to it every other day. No, right. Oh, like a week ago. Like, hey, Dan, can you meet on Tuesday? I'm like, well, which Tuesday?
Which Tuesday? Yeah.
I missed.
Sorry. This Tuesday?
Yeah. Oh, you mean
like
that
2 days ago?
No, I can't meet 2 days ago. So it's kind of funny what channels people pick. But people can email me, reach out, hit up the website. There's bunch of contact us now forms.
And if somebody wants to try a demo,
really, you could just.
How does that?
You just do it right on our site. Okay. Yeah, so you just go Symtrain.ai check it out, and you'll see a demo right there. Like there's a bunch of them, right?
And if there's any more questions, I like the demo.
Yeah.
but just reach out to you or someone.
Yeah,
on your
we have
team.
a sales team.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
yeah. It's so funny. I get on certain sales calls and people are like, "Why are you here?" I'm like, "Oh, because I asked." Like I have to get special permission from my head of revenue. She was just on the phone with me before I walked in here, and she's like, "Okay, I need you off of this one. I need you not to do this. I don't want you running this deal." And I'm like, "I don't blame you. I know. I'm really sorry. I get so excited. Like I love selling, and I love like, oh, there's a solution here that I know someone needs, and I know they want it or need it. I want to go find out exactly where or how. And I kind of geek out. So I'm like, whenever people are busy or they're traveling, I'm like, can I take that one? Can I take that? Can I take that meeting? Like, and the right answer is no.
Yeah,
you can't. But at the end of the day, I love it so much. I get in the way, Turjo. I get in the way. I got to fix that. We got to fix that. There's a few things I got to fix in life. We got to
pick up some hobbies.
Balance, right? I got to fix the balance. I've got to stop getting in the way. Get some more
baseball.
Yeah. Talent. I'd like to increase the talent level.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for getting in here. Oh, one more thing.
Yeah.
Your book, where can people find that? Because I want to pick up a copy.
Oh, you can. I'll get you a copy.
Okay.
So, well, I'll tell you what. So I have the PDF version, right? And I'll send it out to anybody
that'd be great.
That hits me up on LinkedIn or winds up emailing me.
Awesome.
And I can just send a PDF of the book. Yeah. So that's an easy way to distribute
sounds
it.
great.
Yep. Yeah.
Awesome,
and it's
man.
very low cost on that one.
Done. But no, we need to hang out. I'll take you up on that coaching stuff.
Awesome, man.
I'd love to just hear from people and just learn. I love learning. And
cool.
Again, good at one or two things, maybe suck at 8,000 things. So let's fill the gap in.
Close the gap, right?
Close the gap.
You only get one or two more, though, but not too many. You don't want to fill the 80,000.
No, don't do that.
You want to rely on everyone else.
That's it.
Around you.
That's it. Yeah. That's awesome. There's AI for that.
Yeah, exactly. This was fun, by the way.
This is awesome.
Really
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.